Yo, what is going on, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, the beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I'm Ramsey Abushala, editor of UrbanPitch.com. Bridget Flores, Julio Monterosa, co-executive directors of Vibes. What's going on, y'all?
What is up?
No, me and Bridget just joined the co-ed team together. We just had our first game this Sunday. We tried.
We're slowly getting back into it.
Yeah, we're getting back into it.
No W's over the weekend?
Yeah, we did. We took
Yeah, we won.
we
won.
took the
Yeah, I
third.
scored a goal.
Why'd you say it like
yeah,
that,
but
then?
we could have done better.
Yeah.
First play, I'm already trying to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it.
You set a high standards.
We got to debrief. We got to
Yeah.
watch the playbacks and stuff.
Yeah,
but
we all set high standards for ourselves here on the Urban Pitch Podcast, which is why we have a very special guest today joining us via Zoom from the Seattle Reign, Madison Curry. Madison, what's going on? Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be talking to you all.
Yeah, likewise. We were happy to be able to set this up because we're based here in LA, and obviously you had a really good rookie season out here last season. Now making the trip up north to Seattle. From a personal standpoint, I was a little bit surprised when Angel City didn't re-sign you. Can you talk about the whole free agency process? Was that something that you had expected going into it? And because I know, free agency as a concept for younger players in the NWSL is a little bit newer, thanks to the new CBA. But can you talk about that process towards the end of last season, going into this season, and making the move to Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, my rookie year, I honestly had no expectations. I had a 1-year contract and, I had to fight for that. And it was till the last signing day to really duke it out for that spot. And I got really lucky. And then the year happened and it went so quick and so slow at the same time. I am just still what's going on? But I didn't really think about free agency for most of the year. I mean, I was just so stuck in trying to win games and whatnot. And then I sort of started to think about my future just because, I started to play more and I started to develop at a rate that I was really excited about. And I talked to a lot of people in Angel City. A lot of those women are so inspirational. Cindy LaRue, Merritt, just really great people to talk to and just be honest about. They'll be honest about everything and anything. So I needed some of that just because, it's helpful to learn from people who've been in my shoes before. And, they're the ones who fought for agency. I'm just sort of reaping the benefits of it. And my biggest thing for free agency was just finding somewhere where I really felt valued. And my personal development was going to be just as important as, winning the games. And so for me, it was hard. It was really hard to have honest conversations with myself and with several teams. But I'm not one who likes to get comfortable. I always like to push myself. And I just really felt like I needed a change. I loved my time at Angel City and I loved everything that they did for me, obviously. They gave me my start and, I'm forever indebted to that. But Seattle just offered sort of everything I was looking for. Granted, I had never actually been to Seattle except to play here for 2 days. So I kind of flew blind in that aspect. But since being here, I absolutely love it. But they just seem to really care about me on and off the field.
Yeah, talk about that adjustment to a new team, because obviously, going into your rookie season, that's a new team. Now you're on a new team, back-to-back seasons. What was the dynamic getting to know the players? Having done that last year, did you, were you kind of used to it? How did that whole getting settled in Seattle process go?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple really great friends at Angel City, so it was sad to leave them. But Seattle has such a welcoming environment that I truly never felt like I really had to adjust or assimilate in a big way. Soccer is sort of a great way to bring people together because even when you have nothing to talk about, you can go play together and laugh if someone messes up or laugh if someone falls, just stuff like that. And through that, it's just really easy to get to know people. And in preseason, we had a lot of team bonding, we did Top Golf. And I'm horrible at golf, so it was a really vulnerable experience for me. But no, it was really easy. And on this team, there's just so much range. We have so many young people and so many people that are just full-on veterans and been in this league for so many years. It's been really cool to sort of be a part of that and know that I'm going to be here for several years, so I can really sort of let myself totally immerse in the experience.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Going from like being in LA, starting your, like your debut and going into that rookie season year, to then knowing that you're gonna join a new team in a new city, what was like the biggest takeaway you took from your time at Angel City that you knew you were gonna learn from or use to go into Seattle?
Yeah, I think my whole rookie season, I was just a little scared. Every game I was fearful, fearful of messing up, fearful of losing a starting position that I worked so hard to get. And there's just a lot of anxiety there. And coming into Seattle, I sort of said, whoever plays, it's ultimately not my decision. It's the coaches. And I have to trust that they're going to do what's best for the team. But what I can control is myself. And so I'm sort of out of the fear factor of playing. And I'm really back into, oh my gosh, I love soccer. And I'm going to do my best on the field to, help the team in whatever way that sees me. But I was just really going in with, I can make a difference right away. And there's nothing to be scared of.
Yeah, it didn't seem like you were scared because you became an everyday player, one of the bigger contributors for Angel City last season. You mentioned that you were fighting tooth and nail to get that roster spot, and being a fourth round pick, not necessarily like the most highly touted college player coming out into the draft. What was it like for you to just kind of blossom into that starting role, and even though you were scared, still be able to put pretty quality performances week in and week out?
Yeah, last year was a blur. Even the first game of the season, I wasn't on the roster, and then 2 games later I was starting because someone got sick. And just going that shift is just so crazy. And my starting game was against Kansas City, so that's welcome to the league, Here you go. And it's a lot, but you have to sort of take that all away, and it's 2 separate categories, right? Once I leave the field, everything I do on the field really doesn't matter for me as a person, because Madison Curry isn't my whole person isn't a soccer player. That's just something I do and something I really love and have a passion for, and I want to be the best at that. So when I get into that fear mindset, it's just relying on what I've worked on for 20 years to say, even through fear, I know that I can touch a soccer ball, and sort of just rely on that and rely on the girls around me. Angel City was very supportive, and they said, no matter what, we got you. You make a mistake, we're there. You do something good, we're there no matter what. And that was just really, really amazing to feel, because it's high pressure in NWSL. You have to get every point you can when you can, and to sort of bring a rookie 4th round pick, like you said, who maybe wasn't supposed to be in the position she was, along was really special.
Yeah, and now that you kind of got over that fear, do you feel more freedom playing on the field? Can you take? I know the season just started, but can you talk about the first few games with Seattle and the differences that you felt now that you have a full year of experience under your belt?
Yeah, I think this year the biggest word for me has been freedom, and I'm still learning that. I need to be braver. I need to do the things I know I can do. And not have the fear. But this year, the coaches on this team and the girls on this team, they really believe in my ability, on both sides of the ball. And I think I'm going to grow into that more this year. And I think it's going to be a really amazing year in terms of my impact, not just defensively, because I feel like Angel City, I was definitely playing a really much larger defensive role than offensive. And I think this year is where my sort of creativity in the attack is going to blossom and go back to my college days with a lot more refinement.
You got some goal celebrations in your back pocket?
No.
Yeah, because your first goal with Angel City, you did two-hand movement, goal when you scored the goal. So
yeah, but we were losing, so I couldn't really
there you go.
really weird if I celebrated.
Julio's the type of player that'll go in, he'll be down 5-0. If he scores, he's doing full double knee slide, kicking the corner flag.
On turf.
taking the jersey off. Yeah.
No knees by the time I get up. It's crazy.
So maybe you should have someone just in case, just to be ready for the moment.
Yeah. G on the team is helping me with that, so we're going to come up with stuff.
Speaking of goals, we were just coming off of a weekend Jordan bug. Early, second week of the season, but I mean, I don't know. It's going to be pretty tough to beat that. What was going through your head when she got the shot off and when it went in? Like, can you take us through the feelings on the field when that happened?
I mean, you could tell by all her reactions. Like, everybody loves Jordan Bug, right? And in small-sided, that's what she does. It's like she's the best person on your team because she's such a great defender. But once she touches it, you're like, oh no, she's gonna shoot this and it's gonna go in. Like, she's gonna be a forward in their next journey.
Yeah.
But when she scored, like, it was just so surreal because she really works so hard, but she's so humble and she's so quiet and introverted. So it's being able to celebrate her where she can't say like no. That was like really a special moment for our team because she's not someone who wants the attention on her. She's just so hardworking, and it was just really awesome to be able to celebrate her.
Yeah, I feel like there was even like a delay in reaction from the whole stadium because I don't think anyone was expecting such a banger, and it was so like nonchalant, like it just happened. But it was an awesome goal.
Corner. Yeah,
right. Yeah. You couldn't have placed that better. I mean, it was like a Roberto Carlos free kick, like, where it just was like absurd. Like, it was like something you couldn't really fathom or like, realize what's going on in the moment.
Right. And North Carolina is so hard to play against at home. So it was just so like, what is happening?
So now that you have like you're set up, with the team, you're feeling like, this. Your role is a little bit more suited to your style of play. Laura Harvey, one of the most respected coaches in all of soccer across the board. What is some of the early lessons that you've or takeaways that you've had in your new position or in your new role under a new coach with a new team? Like, what are some of the things that you've kind of realized? Like, this is I can play with a little bit more freedom here.
Yeah, I mean, in early preseason, I think she could see in me there's a lot of hesitation to go forward, just because in Angel City we sort of played last year in like a three-back hybrid situation, and I was one of the center backs essentially. So I basically didn't go forward at all for most of the games, and I sort of learned that role, and it's been hard for me to sort of go back to my old fullback, totally like wing-back type role. And she saw that hesitation, and so whenever I think about going, she's like, you have freedom. Like, as long as you make a decision and you go and you commit to it, we can all support around you, and if it's not the right decision, we can always say that in film the next day, but we'll never know if you don't try. And she just really believes in me and my development. So it's not just about this year, it's about where I'm trying to get to, which has been really special. So yeah, I think I'm starting to enjoy going forward more without thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. And having, you mentioned earlier, like the mix of, veteran players, young players, can you talk about like the vibes in amongst the team, both on the field and off the pitch in the locker room, like all that? How is the overall dynamic of the team?
Yeah, I mean, off the field, you would never really know the age differences between people until like one of the young players makes a comment like, I'm so sore. Then you'll just hear, you don't even know what sore feels like. So then we're like, oh my gosh, like Jordan Bugg's 18 and Jess Fishlock's 38. Right. 20-year difference, and both those people scored last weekend. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's absolutely insane to think about. But on the field, they have so much wisdom about the game that it's just so easy to trust them. And sort of, they tell us, you do the running and we'll tell you and we'll help you, and you just keep running and doing your thing and we'll keep doing our thing. And the mix of that has been really special. And I think we've seen that throughout the first 2 weeks. I think it's just going to get even better with more time together. Yeah. But, there are leaders, and we're just trying to make their time on this team as special and as meaningful as we can.
Talk about the behind the scenes, because you did say on the before the season that even the management comes to the field, sees y'all practice, not even talk about soccer anymore. Have you tried a new coffee shop? How is that playing with a team that you have the ownership support?
It's really special. Yeah, it just feels like a family, you know? And when there's that feeling, you want to do the best for that family and that culture. And Seattle Reign is so special, and our potential is so massive. And having the support from the front office who sees our value has been huge. And it goes beyond the soccer field, like I was saying in a different interview. They value us as people, right? So it's like, how are you doing? Oh, you're not doing well. Like, what's going on? You know, and how can we help? And just seeing that support has been really, really amazing. And you would never think like, oh shoot, that's like the investor of this club. Like that's who owns this club. Like talking to me and actually like I'm a person outside of soccer as well.
Have you tried a coffee shop? Can you compare LA coffee to Seattle coffee? How much we're better in LA?
Don't get me going. Yeah, the one thing I miss about LA is like I'm a takeout girl, you know.
Okay.
So, and I lived in Silver Lake in LA.
You can't beat that.
You were there.
can't
You were
beat
there.
that. Like,
It's a hard spot to be in terms of food.
Yeah.
And I don't live in the city here. I live in a sort of suburb near it. So there's not quite as much, but there's a lot of really, really cool spots. And it's beautiful here.
Did you try masa in Silver Lake?
What's it called?
Masa, the Chicago style pizza.
Yes, yeah, I tried.
That's my spot. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, we went on. We had Jeremy Abobasi who just joined LAFC a couple weeks ago, and we had probably like a 15-minute aside on the podcast. That was not scheduled. It was not on the list. Where we were just talking about food, restaurants. So we could go on for forever when it comes to that stuff. But but you mentioned Jess Fishlock earlier. She seems like a player, just from an outside a perspective, that like when you're playing against her, it's like you can't stand her. But when you're playing with her, like she's like the person that you really want to have on your team, because if she's not on the team, she's going to be messing stuff up. She's going to be talking trash. She's being like, getting feisty in players' faces. Was there an intimidation factor when, you joined the team, or what's the difference between playing with her and playing against her?
I mean, playing against anyone last season who was like a veteran, I was like, I cannot believe I'm on the field with this person. Like, what is going on? Like, a year ago I was playing college and now I'm on the field with like Jess and all those people. It's just crazy. But I honestly wasn't scared. Like, she reached out to me before I was even in market. Like, she reached out to me as soon as she heard I was signed and was like, just so welcoming, and was just like really excited that I was going to be a part of the team. And so just having those messages before I even moved was just like, okay, like it's going to be okay. Like this place is going to be the right place.
Yeah. Earlier, you were talking about the age gap and the difference in ages on the team, and having a solid team dynamic is important. But I think we've talked about this a lot with a few of the other players that we've interviewed, the age gap and just like the difference between the ages that we're seeing coming into the NWSL MLS on the pro level. So can you share a little bit about what your experience has been seeing, like the younger rookies or the younger players playing alongside you, or you playing against them? Like what has that been like from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'm 24, and 4 years ago that would have been really young in the league, and all of a sudden I'm not young anymore. So I'm like, wait a minute,
you're grown.
When did I miss this? But yeah, I think it's interesting. There's definitely like a lot of learning curves you have to go through, like just communication styles and understanding, like thinking back when you were 18 and what kind of support you needed. And I think Seattle has a really great environment for that. I think it's learning to speak openly with the young players when they need help, when they need guidance, even just being friends with them. But them on the field, like they have no fear because they have like, this is all they know, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really cool to see. Like if I did this at 18, I would be in the corner, like quaking, like, probably not connecting a pass. And it's really cool to see. But yeah, obviously, if there weren't like Jess Fishlock on the team, I don't know how I would handle it, just because, if there's ever conflict, like how do you sort of handle that with younger players? Like you don't want to seem like a bully, and you don't want to seem anything of that sort. You want it to be welcoming while also, working together towards a common goal, so it's really cool to see the veterans, lead the way
Yeah.
and all of us, hop on board and do our part. And, all the young people on our team, we all just really care for each other. So it's never been a problem.
Yeah. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Use our code URBANPITCH, that's one word, no spaces, to get a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're going to start playing their Pick'em game, where you can make picks on your favorite players and teams. All you have to do is pick whether they'll go higher or lower than their expected stats. We'll share our picks here and on social media channels, and you can play along with us. Let's make watching sports even more fun with Underdog Fantasy. Yeah, and you took the college route going to Princeton, and Princeton is somewhere that has a pretty strong soccer tradition, especially. But now with kind of the infrastructure where you're seeing some of these, in some cases, how old is the girl in Gotham? 14 that made her debut. 14, 15, 16. These teenagers that are making their debuts. If you were in this spot today, like in high school or whatever, at that age, would you strongly consider going professional at that age, or do you think you would do the college route over again?
If I'm being like 100% honest, my parents would have laughed in my face if I said, "Mom, let me go pro right now." She'd be like, that's funny. Like, go do your homework. So thankfully, I never had to think about that decision. But for me personally, so much was going on in my teenage years, so much years of development, like socially and, in the classroom, off the classroom, like learning how to deal with emotions and all this, that college for me was really the time that I learned about who I was as a person. Being away from my parents for the first time, having to deal with all that stuff. I had COVID in college, so college really helped me grow. And I personally don't think I would have been ready to go pro at 15 or even 18. I think I really needed the college years. Like, I didn't talk before my junior year of college, until my college coach sat me down and was like, "Okay, he's like, do you want to be a captain?" I was like, "No, never in my life." And he was like, "Okay, well, you don't have a choice. So here's what you need to work on." And I needed that push. So
yeah. And what was that that moment for you when you transitioned from college going into your pro era? Like, what was that eye-opening moment where you're like, "Oh, I'm really in this," compared to playing college?
Yeah, I think it was my first home game at Angel City where I was playing. I remember walking out to the field and I was like, "Oh my gosh," because my best friend have season tickets to Angel City. So in college, I would go with her to the games when I was home. So I was used to being in the stands.
Right.
Now I was on the field. I was like, "I don't think this is right."
You're like, when did this change?
Yeah, I'm like, I think there's a mistake. But no, that was the first time I was like, "Oh wow, this is my life now."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've there's a theory amongst Angel City fans out there that the stadium atmosphere at Angel City, while obviously it's fantastic. I'm a season ticket holder as well, so we go there. It's a great environment. It's loud. The fans are always into it. But it's not exactly a hostile environment for opposing fan or opposing teams. Whereas you see in some of these European stadiums where it's raucous and they're chanting stuff towards the opposing fans. They're throwing stuff on the field. It's not like that at Angel City. Do you think that you got the best out of other teams being amplified by that electric atmosphere at Angel City? Did you feel like other teams played harder when you were at home because of that the fan energy?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I think, being on Angel City last year, every time I went to the game, I was like, "Oh, this is sick." I have the whole stadium rooting for us, And I think being on the opposing team, I think it's just really exciting for women's sports in general to sort of go to a stadium where it's, filled and people are excited to be there.
Yeah.
I think creating a hostile environment, I think that can toe a really fine line.
For sure.
That sort of takes the joy out of the sport for a lot of people, where they show up thinking, "What are people going to say about me today?" So I can commend Angel City's fans for never being horrible to people on the field. But chanting, I mean, that comes with the game, right? Like, you know, you got to get to people's head a little bit without being, you know, overly
Of
rude.
course. Yeah. And now you're going to get that experience this weekend coming back to LA for the first time as an opponent. What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to? Are you looking to, is there like a revenge game that you have in mind, or like what's going through your head?
Celebrating the goal.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Honestly, like, I'm just excited to play there again, you know? I left Angel City on really great terms, so like there's no bad blood or anything like that. So I'm just excited to sort of go back to the city that gave me my start and be like, and look where I am a year later. And it's only going to get better from here. And I'm just really excited because, you know, those fans supported me through a lot of really hard moments last year. And I don't know how I would have responded if they weren't there, you know? And signing jerseys after the game, like even when people didn't know who I was, they would ask for signatures, you know, and that was really like, okay, like I can do this. Like these people care even if they don't know who I am. I mean, if our team isn't doing the best, like these people really care and they show up every time. So I'm going to show up for them. And, you know, that continues through a new team. I want to go there and show them like, thank you. And here I am. And here's my new team. And I'm just really excited to be in that environment again.
That's great, though, because if anybody ever asks me to sign anything and they don't know who I am, I'm putting Brad Pitt.
Just a random signature.
Random signature.
No, actually, I mean, I had never like done signatures before. So the
Right.
first time someone asked me, I was like, and I wrote my name in cursive because I didn't know. So
I mean,
had
that's
to-
basically a signature.
right.
Yeah.
The baseline of it.
Did you have to practice? Did you start practicing your autograph?
Yeah, I was like,
after
oh, I have to
that?
think about this.
Have you perfected it at this point?
Yeah,
or got
I
it
mean,
better?
Yeah, it's easy. I'm like a swoopy initial and my
Nice.
number, you know?
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah,
There
we
we
can get a handwriting analyst, and they'll tell you all about your personality through that. Yeah.
Step number 1, don't forget your number. Like,
Oh, that too.
what
Yeah.
jersey
Yeah.
number you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I switched my number this year, so I'm like learning to write.
Gotta throw the new one in there. Can't forget. I had a
no, go
sorry.
ahead,
I
go
had a
ahead.
quick question because we're talking about you coming back to LA, but what was that experience like for you to transition over to Seattle and assimilate to a whole new city, environment, fan base,
Weather.
team?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, leaving LA was hard. I loved where I lived. Being close to home was amazing. And LA is such a vibrant community, you know, like there's something for everyone there and you don't get that everywhere. Seattle fascinated me just because I felt like it had a lot of the similar attributes. Granted, a lot more cloudy days, but I'm someone who loves hoodies and sweatsuits. So like for me, I was like, this is a win-win situation. Like I would go out in LA in summer with a sweatsuit and like I'd probably get dehydrated because I was sweating so much, but I couldn't put on shorts,
You can't sacrifice the drip,
Yeah, I'm like, I can't change who I am. But transitioning to Seattle, my mom loves to decorate, so she got my apartment just right.
Nice.
So like, I'm a big homebody, so feeling like zen in my apartment was really the biggest thing, and I definitely do. And now I love being here. The field, the commute in LA was like over an hour to the training facility, and here it's 10 minutes, and I live on a lake, like I get to enjoy nature, and it's just very much more my speed. And I didn't realize that till I got here, because it's hard to realize when you're in the city and you're like, that's the vibe. And I loved that vibe, but just who I am, I'm a bit slower. I'm a bit, I like to take the scenic route. I like to do all these things, and Seattle has really allowed me to do that. And then Seattle has just been so supportive of me already. Playing the first game in Lumen was incredible. And it was raining, so like the vibe was just right for a classic like Seattle home opener, And the fans, again, they're just so supportive, and it's a really special fan base. And I definitely want to get more engaged with the community as time goes on, but it's really excited me so far.
Yeah.
Let us know about the moving process. Did the league help you out? How was that moving from LA, moving your stuff all the way to Seattle? Behind the scenes.
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't actually have that much stuff in my LA apartment, just because I moved in like April because I got my contract so late, and stuff like that. Moving to Seattle, everyone here was so nice. One of my only sort of hesitations about Angel City was moving in as a rookie, it wasn't easy for me. And they have a better system in place now, but during my time, it was hard. Like, you know, they didn't really help me a lot in that sense, in that area of it. But Seattle, like right when they knew I was coming, they got me a furnished like apartment and stuff like that, which was really nice. But as far as moving my stuff, I just loaded it all into my car, thankfully.
Whoa.
Yeah, my brother lives in Bend, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I just did like, you know, made my way up slowly.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
a
then,
great drive too. That's a beautiful drive.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
it was nice. And I'm a driver, like I love to drive. So the hours on the road were like so good for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I have family who loves to help, so I didn't do too much in my move, and thankfully all like the big ticket items were already in the apartment, so it's more just like
Nice.
clothing and stuff like that. So and the league now has a really nice moving stipend and all that, so that was really awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's good to see now that just every year it seems like stuff is improving in terms of the overall player experience. We mentioned the collective bargaining agreement that was signed, and the whole free agency thing. Trade approvals, like all this stuff that's going on to improve the player experience. Like we just love to see in a growing league like the NWSL. But continuing on the fan experience in Seattle, because whether it's the Sounders or the Reign, like I feel like there's such a vibrant community when it comes to soccer fandom and sports fandom across the board in Seattle. I feel like the Seattle fans are always diehard, no matter if it's the Kraken in the NHL or the Seahawks. They're always riding and dying with their sports teams. Can you talk about just interacting with the fan bases? I know you said they're super supportive of you right away, but just specifically, can you talk about any instances or just experiences that you've had with the fans that really made you feel welcome right away?
Yeah, we had a community event before preseason or before our season started to sort of kick off our new game anthem that Brittany wrote, and
Yeah.
it's amazing, and it really captures the spirit of the team and the city itself. And that was my first interaction with the fans, like personally, obviously, and it was a really cool event to sort of learn more about the history and hear about the fan experiences in general. And our goal is always to get more people to the game. But the core group that we have already in our support groups has just been insane. And hearing them be so excited about something that they don't even know how it's going to go, they just have blind faith and blind support. And, they're going to be the ones standing in the rain. Like they do so much for us. And just like hearing their perspective, because, fans obviously a lot of the time, it's a thankless thing to be a part of. Like you just go because out of your own enjoyment and that you want to be there to support those people. But to hear about their support through hard times and through times where like it's probably easier not to support and not to come out, it just made me really proud. And I'm new to the city, obviously, but being able to create a supporter group and a stadium that's inclusive to everybody is what's important to me. And also, enjoy the games, like make it entertaining. And those are the ones who help, they're the ones waving the flags and chanting the chants. And they're so vibrant, and I'm just really excited to learn about them more and get more engaged with them.
It's really cool to see fans get so hyped on new signings, and they might not know too much about you, but they already make you feel like they're your number one fan, and they give you so much love and excitement as you're going into it. So I'm sure seeing that and having bits of that really makes it easier to transition into the team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I remember posting, about my signings on Instagram and just going through the comments. I was like, wow, first off, I felt like a celebrity for 1 second. I was like, okay, I should
You are a
do this.
celebrity.
No, and then I was like, these are real people, and they don't
Yeah.
even know me. This is so cool.
Yeah.
What was within the team? Was there a tradition to kind of get you to feel welcomed into the team? Was there anything that was done, like an icebreaker or team bonding that's tradition within the Seattle Reign team that they do?
There's not one thing in tradition specific, but a lot of preseason was spent on goal building, around our team. And so through that, you kind of have to be vulnerable, about what's worked for you as an individual, and then what's worked for you as a team, and what's not worked. And sort of through like sharing shared experiences and individual experiences, you feel this sense of like a bond to people because you know what they've been through. And it was like first week of knowing people, and I would hear like their times of hardship, you know, and automatically you could see them being genuine, and you want to help them, you want to support them because they're giving their everything every day at practice, and that's really special. But I also came to a few trainings before like season started, and just they include you in everything. They're like, hey, let's go to the field. Like, hey, join my line. Hey, like, let's go walk together. It just like the sense of community right away is huge. And there's no cliques or groups here. It just everyone sort of gets along with everyone. And that was just really special from the start.
Yeah. Transitioning to stuff off the pitch, because a lot of the stuff that we do covers, you know, fashion, music, art, all that. So I wanted to talk about, you know, the stuff that you like to get up to when you're not playing. Like now being in Seattle, you know, you mentioned you're getting in touch with nature and all that. But what are some of the stuff that you're getting up to when you're not playing soccer to kind of take your mind off things?
Yeah. I'm a shopper at heart, so it's hard for me not to do that.
That's a great hobby.
Yeah.
I've been like trying to read, you know, stuff, but it doesn't hit the same.
Right.
You can read like the item descriptions and you know like the,
right.
The reviews.
You hoodie. Yeah. Come on now.
No, I've been trying to I've been walking. Honestly, I'm a walker too. Like I like to walk through shops and walk through anything, and that brings me a lot of joy, and it's easy for me to do after practice and stuff because it's mindless too, so I can sort of escape the soccer world. But my brother works in fashion. He works for Amiri.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
Yeah.
We need that discount code.
Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to get that first. I know.
She's like, you gotta wait in line.
I'll take
Get
the
in
number.
line. She said get in line.
The discount code doesn't even help though. Like
Honestly,
It's still a lot.
it's still high up there.
right. Like, yeah. But he is just so cool, right? So it's like, you know, I have to make sure that he's not the coolest sibling.
Right.
Sure, yeah,
You gotta
right,
keep
right,
him in
right.
check.
That's my life's work because I have 3 older brothers, right? So I'm the youngest and the only girl. But now I just like, you know, proving to them like, yeah, I'm the best athlete in the family. Like, but he's still like far cooler than me in the fashion sense. But it's hard to keep up with him, you know.
Yeah.
But I try. I do a lot of vintage shopping. You know, I love to try to be sustainable when possible. So there's so many used clothes out there that are just so amazing. So that's something I've been diving more into to sort of up my fashion game while creating a more capsule wardrobe that can last throughout time.
Yeah. So are you like brainstorming your pre-game fits that you have in mind for this year? Is that something that goes along with the shopping?
Yeah. One thing about me is like I like to have options too. So like before a game, I'm like, suddenly I have no clothes, so I have to go buy, you know, 5 new outfits. And I'll be like, I still don't like any of these. And then I'll FaceTime my mom and like be like, I don't know what's going on. And then, you know, last year my brother would help me with a lot of the outfits because he lived in downtown, so he was like closer to me. But this year I'm gonna try to do some more actual styling. I felt like last year I sort of just like threw together whatever I had. And this year I'm gonna try to be a little more expressive and open the doors to new stuff. I'm a baggy girl, but getting into more refined streetwear rather than just, you know, bigger stuff because that's what I like.
Yeah. I would say I'm similar in that sense. Like I'm literally wearing sweatpants. Like
Me too. Yeah.
it's just, I gave up and I was like, I'm not
Right.
gonna look for anything. I'm just gonna do what's comfortable with me. But it's like you can never go wrong with like a little tracksuit, a little sweatpants and hoodie. But you can always also upscale hoodies and sweats. So just throwing that out there for you to think about.
And I have a lot of sweatsuits, so I plan to
There
wear
you
those.
go.
There's a lot of games in the season, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I really love jewelry more than anything. So that's my thing I like to play with a lot.
It sounds like you might you might be giving us some like sweatsuits, jewelry, upscale vibes. So I'm here for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch with the gram, and you know, I'm sure Bridget will, you know, she'll have some insight to
I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah. But growing up with the older brothers, was that like a competitive household? Like it sounds like, you know, you're still have that kind of competitive edge when it comes to them. Like what was that like growing up with them, and how did that kind of help you as an athlete, as you know, just overall, like as you were growing up? Were
they also overprotective over you? They let nobody talk to you, like let go of my little sister because it's not gonna happen?
Honestly, the most competitive one in my family is my mother. So she started all of this, you know, like we would all be playing soccer and she'd come in and be like, y'all aren't winning, you know, like mom's still have, you know.
So she played too?
She was just an athlete. She was more of a runner, like a track star, but you know, she can throw a ball better than all of us. She's tried to do soccer, but thankfully I caught her. I was the only one who played soccer in my family. So thankfully she had at home that skill by the time I was starting. But no, growing up with brothers was amazing. Yeah, they like made sure I never had an ego, right? And that's like the really nice way to put it. So
that's such a nice way.
Yeah.
They sure do keep you humble.
Oh my God.
Oh, so they pushed you around.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Always, right? Like,
right.
I would always be like, yeah, like I'm pretty good at soccer, guys. Like I promise. And they'd be like, okay, like no, you're not. You know. And they're like, well, I'm still faster than you. I'm like, well, yeah, you're like 8 years older and like 6'5". You know, like I would hope you are. No, they were never overprotective of me, probably because I didn't really speak to anybody ever. They were like, you need to get out of the house. I was really introverted, and I still am. So I was just in the house, you know, I was like the golden child. I got really good grades. I did really good at my sport. You know, I listened to everything my parents said always. I probably just annoyed them, you know, because they were like, oh my God, just mess up, you know. But someone had to be the golden child, you know.
And you're the youngest one, so you're going to get all the love, no
the
matter what
girl.
you do. Yeah, and the only girl.
Can't help that.
I can't imagine how you did that. 3 brothers. I have one older brother, and I love him. I know that he's impacted me, and I am where I am because of him. But man, growing up with a brother was tough. But 3, I don't know if I can do that.
He's a great guy. Don't let him
No, he is great, but
I love the guy.
Brothers really like, they don't let you like live anything out. Like they will keep you in your place, and you can never beat them at anything.
But it's different though, because you were calm. You stayed home. Bridget was outside. she was not coming up, so he had a hard task.
he had to be overprotective.
Yeah, I was the one telling my brothers that's a really stupid thing to do. You know, like.
No, that was Bridget's brother telling her like.
That's funny.
I had him stressed.
My brothers had me stressed. That's probably why I didn't do anything that they did.
Learning from the outside. That's yeah. But so you know, that's a really interesting dynamic. You know, getting being a scholar and being an athlete. You know, going to Princeton. What was that experience like for you? Did you always have Ivy League goals set for you? Like how was that growing up, and how did that kind of materialize?
Yeah, growing up, like I always wanted to be a soccer player, but I just didn't know the feasibility of it. You know, 10 years ago, you weren't making money playing pro soccer unless, you know, you're on the national team and doing all that. And that was a lot to sort of bank on. And I always really liked school. I was good at it, so I continued to do it. Princeton was so hard, you know, like I didn't have any free time. I was going from like 6 a.m. to 2:30 at night every night. And, you know, I didn't really have any time for myself in that time. But I like it. I like to make sure I'm like a rounded person. It was really important for me because I so get hyper focused on things, and I'm like, I need to be the best at this. Like a perfectionism tactic. I'm like, I need to do this and I need to do this, and everything I do has to be the best. And having multiple things I can work on was really helpful for me. So I'm not totally consumed by one thing. And school was really helpful in that front because it took up so much of my headspace where I really couldn't think about, you know, every mistake I just made at practice, you know, because that's how I work. And, you know, it wasn't until like sophomore year where I was like, oh, I want to play. I know I'm going to play pro soccer. I was a pre-med before that, and then I was like, I can't do medical school.
Yeah.
I'm not built for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
gotta pick,
it's
you gotta
hard.
pick your struggle, whether it's
Yeah,
sports
like
or,
I can't.
yeah.
And 4 years of medical school after 4 years of college, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, you mean 4 more years of this
Yeah,
and
I
it's
was
all
like,
med?
yeah, I was like, no. But I mean, I also took a semester off to really like think about everything. And during that time, I was like an aerospace engineering intern. So I say like I have a lot of lives, you know, like I'm a totally different person in so many ways that it just really depends on the day.
It sounds like you're very well rounded, and it's cool that you had the opportunities to explore multiple options, which is good. And you bring up a really good point: the feasibility and the accessibility to pro sports, especially as a woman. Nowadays, we see it more accessible, but like you said, 10 years ago, very different. What's like a piece of advice or guidance that you could provide to the younger generations looking at you and you know your teammates that want to be in your shoes?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me because I've had a very privileged life, right? Like, I was able to get private lessons that you have. It's like pay to play, right? Like, it made me so much better in so many ways, and you know, I didn't really realize how privileged. You don't realize it until you're like you see other people's past, and you're like, wow, like that is they had to struggle to make it, you know, and I was given so many opportunities, and yes, like I took advantage of those opportunities, so that was awesome. But now I think after soccer, one of my biggest things is accessibility, right? And telling people who maybe don't have access to private trainers or even being able to play club soccer, like that's expensive, you know, and it's not accessible to everyone. And my mission after soccer is really like to leverage it. Like we need to make things more accessible. We need to stop the pay to play, because I'm sure if I didn't have the private lessons at a really high cost, I wouldn't be the player I am today. You know, and maybe it's like a connecting people and trainers who are willing to do it for free, because a lot of people have really good hearts, and soccer's the world sport, you know, like so many people, it's not pay to play. And I think that's a really weird system we have in the United States. And for the girls who are, you know, want to be in my footsteps, it's really just to do what you can and control what you can, and just don't lose the love of the sport, you know. That's the most important thing. And your path is your path, and you can't really judge anybody else's, because everybody has a different journey and have different struggles in different ways. And if you love the sport, things will open up, and ask for help when you need it, and hopefully someone will be there to guide you. And if not, you know, there's really a lot more resources out there than when I was, like YouTube videos and all that stuff. Like it's becoming more accessible, but it's still like there's a long way to go.
Yeah,
That should be like our intro to the video.
Yeah,
'Cause
that was
great.
really well spoken and well put, because I think that's an issue that a lot of young soccer players are dealing with in this country, and it's something that's trying to be addressed across the board, whether it's different organizations or coaches that are really trying to target people in that don't have the means to necessarily play club soccer at that level with that price point, because some of the fees, like just for the team, and not counting the travel, the hotels, like all the tournaments that they go to, is wild to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Even cleats are like $400. Like that's not normal.
It's
crazy.
wild. It's
Crazy.
wild. Yeah.
But that's why spaces and opportunities like these, like having you on, hearing your journey, hearing your story, gives us an opportunity to create a platform that can provide that motivational aspect. Even though this isn't like a private coaching session, it's still an opportunity to hear from people who have had the experience of going into the pro sports space, going into the college route to play sports. So I think everything you're sharing right now is really helpful, and I know could definitely go a long way for anyone that's listening.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great programs. Like I worked with Football for Her, and they're doing a job, So I think with time it'll get better, and just willing to commit to that process and keep working and love the sport, and good things will come, no matter if it's the pros or coaching or something else. Like you just never know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So before we end it up, what music are you listening to prior to games, and like who controls the playlist in the locker room? Who's in charge of the vibes?
We have a couple. Jordan Heidema is really good on the DJ, And same with Ryan Brown. She's really awesome as well. I'm not the DJ on the team. I'm pretty zen before games. I get very like inward and like stoic in a lot of ways. So I listen to like chill, sometimes even like no words, like lo-fi, like beats, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I also drink a lot of caffeine, so I have to like match. I can't get overly like
Right.
overly anxious before games.
Overstimulated.
So I gotta balance it.
Yeah.
But when you are like vibing out, you know, on those long drives, what's like your go-to playlist, either artists or music or or songs?
Yeah, I'm a chill girl. So like I love Noah Kahan, like the folky type stuff. And then I love musicals. That was a big, you know, I got into Hamilton at a really critical age. And it's unfortunate in a lot of ways, but
That's amazing. That's the first thing. That's the first time you ever heard that. Is
yeah.
Afro beats or like reggaeton, but hey, Hamilton's great.
Pre-game,
No,
pre-game.
It's really unfortunate. Like it's like it's all I listened to in high school. So
yeah. What's your number one musical of all time?
oh gosh, I have to say Hamilton. It was my first sort of step into musicals. Obviously, I love Wicked, and I love the new movie, and I'm waiting for part 2 to come out in November. Like I'm counting down the days. But I'm like the most easily entertained person. So like I could stare at a wall and have fun. So if you put any musical in front of me, I think, oh my gosh, this is the best
You're
thing
all
in
in.
life.
I was a big Grease guy. I love myself some Grease.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
that's a classic. Anything else?
That's great.
Listen, Madison, this has been such a great conversation. It's been great getting to know you a little bit more, and you have just so much going for you. And you know, you switched teams, but you know we're still rooting for you individually. This weekend, I know we said Angel City isn't a raucous atmosphere, a hostile atmosphere. So if you see one guy screaming from the press box, you know that'll be me. But this has been such a good time. Thank you again for coming by to talk to us, because you got lots of stuff going on and with you up in Seattle. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, a beautiful game of life. For Madison Curry, Julio Monterosa, Bridget Flores, I'm Ramsey Abushala. We'll see you next week.